Hey everyone, Sky here to discuss Knocked Up, starring Seth Rogen, Katherine Heigl, Paul Rudd, Leslie Mann, G.B.M.H, Jonah Hill, Jason Segel, and Martin Starr, and directed by Judd Apatow. Now, I did see this in theaters when it came out in 2007 on that summer, and what do I think of it? Well, I will spoil something really quick. It made me hate Katherine Heigl even further. And then I saw a lot of her movies, even The Fucking Ugly Truth versus 27 Dresses, all that stuff. And she's very one-note. I will talk about why here, but yeah, overall, I'm not a fan. And I think I stopped after that one movie. What was that one where Rosario Dawson and her fight over whose family? I forget the name of the movie, but that was bad, and I stopped after that. So let's get into the movie. Stoner friends Ben, played by Seth Rogen, Jay, played by G.B.M.H, Jonah, played by Jonah Hill, Jason, played by Jason Segel, and Martin, played by Martin Starr, have fun, as they're a bunch of stoners, while Allison, played by Katherine Heigl, is living the responsible life, working for a television program called E! While the stoner friends make up a website called Flesh of the Stars, which is what movie female celebrities get naked in, I'll say, Allison gets a promotion from her boss, Jack, played by Alan Tudyk, to put her on camera, and I love being around these characters, like just the stoner guys. And Alan Tudyk as well. And I'll get to Paul Rudd when I can, but those are the only characters I really liked in this movie. Especially the stoners, and the first half of the movie, I like Allison. When we get to the second half, I really don't like her. And I have to confess, after this and Bride of Chucky, and I said this before, I don't like Katherine Heigl. She makes the same movies, and she's very one-note and plays the same fucking character. It's so annoying. Allison and her sister Debbie, played by Leslie Mann, go to the club, for her promotion. And who does she bump into to grab beers for her and her sister? Ben, played by, while Jason hits on Debbie, and Debbie leaves quite early. And Allison and Ben party on and get drunk, and she and Ben have sexual intercourse with Allison, and they wake up forgetting everything the next morning until 8 weeks later. And I haven't had as much fun in the first half of a movie than here. Allison vomits because she's pregnant while on the air interviewing James Franco while promoting Spider-Man 3. Sound familiar? As she discovers she's pregnant, and it's tested positive with pregnancy tests, and she contacts Ben and has dinner with her as both she and Ben overreact to the situation. And this is the scene where Michael Cera got fired from the movie, and it's a better movie without him, honestly. And I hate Michael Cera in general. Maybe if I get around to Superbad, maybe I'll explain why. But the scene is pretty good as far as the way it's shot, and there's very little laughs to give to this movie because the subject is serious, but the stoner scenes give me a crack up. And Allison and Ben go to the gynecologist and find out she's pregnant, which those two actors play that scene maturely, as it's either heartbreaking or tears of joy, depending on where you take it. Allison decides to keep the baby, and Ben is on board. Yay. Ben and Allison get in progress of getting to know each other and shopping for baby stuff. And I like those scenes as we do see their relationship grow throughout the film, as we know Debbie and Pete, played by Paul Rudd. And I like Pete better than Debbie, and we get them in another movie in 2 weeks, and I'm honestly not looking forward to that, as I've seen it before. And I'll talk about it then, but the progress is taking too long. And this is a longer movie than The 40-Year-Old Virgin. I think it's 40 minutes. I think 40 minutes of this should have been cut out. For fuck's sakes, Judd, cut something out and make your movie under 2 hours. Because you can't make a joke 2+ hours and it gets old, not only, and very obnoxious. Debbie and Allison couldn't be any more against Pete and Ben, starting with Debbie when she is led to believe that Pete is cheating on her, but he wants some time alone with some fantasy baseball league draft meeting, or he sees Spider-Man 3 without them. Or him and his family, without Debbie and his family and such. And as he goes to a meeting about baseball. And what makes matters worse is Allison overreacts while going to the gynecologist, and she and Ben argue and makes Ben walk 3 miles to the doctor's office and have a burst out in the doctor's office, and all of that made Katherine Heigl a bitch. And that's how I see her in every fucking movie. I'm sorry, I'm not a fan. Pete and Ben go to Las Vegas, and Ben freaks the fuck out while watching Cirque du Soleil. And back at the hotel, Ben wants to go back while putting on Cheaper by the Dozen, the 2003 movie with Steve Martin, which were great scenes. Meanwhile, Debbie and Allison try to go to the club and get encountered by and rejected by Craig Robertson before he ever became a big thing. And that scene when she calls him a doorman, I'm thinking, what the fuck was Debbie thinking for taking a pregnant Allison to the club? But it was ridiculous. I mean, I know they're sisters and all, but Jesus, take care of her. Don't go to a fucking club. Allison tells Ben they should not be together as Ben is a changed man, and Allison gets called in the office about her pregnant body and tells her that E wants to do a special of pregnant celebrities. Meanwhile, Ben gets a job in his own apartment and creates a room for the baby, which is finally reads the baby books. And Allison feels her water breaking and is going to labor, and she calls Ben about it. And her doctor isn't here, but at San Francisco for some dumbass reason. Ben takes her to the hospital and gets Dr. Ken Jeong, who to me I find pretty annoying in here. And here, the Hangover trilogy, and any other fucking movie I've seen him in, he's obnoxious in this film. And especially in those films too. Everybody comes to the hospital, including the stoners. Pete, Debbie, and the doctors get the baby out. And it's a girl. Yay. And they get the baby out of the hospital and move into Ben's place. And I think as a climax, it was beautiful, but it's not funny for a comedy. Because like I said before, this is a serious subject. That's just my opinion. Now it's time for the rating. I'll give this movie a 8.0 out of 10. And I know what you're thinking. I was harder on it than that, but there's some things I like. I like the stoners and Pete, but Katherine Heigl and Leslie Mann bugged the living shit out of me in here. It's not that funny of a plot because, again, one last time, it's a serious subject. I do like the film quite a bit, but it's too long. Like, 40 minutes should have been cut out of it. And I like the first half so much better than the second half, but it's a good movie. The next bunch of weeks, it's gonna get draggier and draggier. So I would like to thank you guys for joining me, and next week I will be back with Funny People with Adam Sandler. Yes, that's an Apatow film. And until next time, tone it down, Judd.